And good evening and welcome to City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, your host, and tonight we're going to be discussing a favorite topic of mine, the Kiwanis Club. And I've got two guests in this evening of local nature. I've got Russ George from the Kiwanis Club of New Haven, and he's our lieutenant governor. So he oversees about a half a dozen clubs along the shoreline between New London and Milford and up to Wallingford. And to his left is the governor-elect of the New England and Bermuda district of Kiwanis, Kristin Holden. And she's a member of the Middletown Club. She didn't have to come too far tonight, but the New England district encompasses the all 6 states and Bermuda. So you've got quite a large area to navigate.
I do, yep.
And you're been involved in the Kiwanis family since you've been a child almost.
Yes, yes. So one of the beautiful things about Kiwanis is that they sponsor clubs at the elementary all the way through disabled adults. So what they're called is service leadership programs, and I say that I'm a product of those service leadership programs. I credit both my time in Builders Club, which is the middle school level, and Key Club, which is the high school level, for help shaping me into the adult I am today. So through the advisors, through the leadership skills that I was able to develop, organizational skills, and really finding a sense of giving back to our community. And so when I became an adult and was able to settle down in a full-time job, I was asked to join Kiwanis, and here I am today. I think we're at like 16 years later, and yeah, it's been a great journey, and I love giving back to the community. So yeah.
Well, that's terrific. And Russ, your club in New Haven is one of the oldest in Kiwanis, which goes back to its roots in 1915 in Detroit.
Right, correct. We say we were established in 1916, but Kiwanis International maintains that we were founded in 1917. So we just let that be as far as the ongoing discussion about that.
And then in 1940, you guys came up the shoreline to New London and formed and got a club chartered in New London.
Yes, we did. There was a number of clubs that I believe there's about 8 different clubs that we sponsored and got them going over the years. So, but what's really good is that New London and New Haven have had a long relationship from day one, and has never wavered, and that's really an encouraging thing, especially
we visit each other and support each other from time to time. I mean, you and your friend Neil have been participating in the New London Kiwanis Club's golf tournament now for probably the better part of a decade, I think.
It will be 10 years with this year's tournament.
You know, and our group tries to come down and support yours, and would come down and visit your club, and that's part of the benefit of the organizations, as they say, the enduring friendships that you make, and
yes.
Part of that is meeting and visiting members in other areas, participating at different levels.
Yes.
You'll meet more people if you haven't met them yet than you can shake a stick at. So.
No, I do. Some of our best friends are Kiwanians from Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine. So it is great. And we travel. When we were down in Florida the other day, or a couple of years ago, we went to a Kiwanis meeting down there. So yeah, so it's a beautiful piece of what Kiwanis is getting to meet people both here within the United States and abroad. So we're in 82 22 countries, so and areas. So yeah, so it's great. I know some Kiwanis that have friends in the Philippines, and I mean it's an amazing organization that we can meet people like that. And actually, I met my husband through Kiwanis. So
He's a member of Kiwanis.
he's a member of Kiwanis as well. Yes. So.
Same club?
Yes, so we actually met. I was living in Stamford. He was living in Middletown, so of Connecticut, and we met through a mutual friend, and the rest is kind of history. And so I moved up to Middletown when we started seriously dating. So yeah, and I became a member of the Middletown Club instead of Stamford.
Now, he has a district level position, is that correct?
He does, yes. So Kiwanis kind of has Kiwanis clubs have two arms. One is the service arm, and the other is the fundraising arm. And so the same is true at the district level and the international level. So the fundraising arm of Kiwanis is for New England is the Kiwanis Foundation of New England. And so he is the president of that foundation. So they have over $8 million in funds that are used throughout New England. One of the big projects that they've started doing recently is food packing events. So they support the divisions by giving funding for that. And so clubs come together. We're actually doing one in April, Division 18 and Division 19. So pretty much all
April 20th.
Yep, pretty much all of Connecticut. So the beautiful thing is we all come together to one area. So we're coming to Meriden, Connecticut. So all the clubs are going to do that. We package food that is protein-rich food through a program called End Hunger New England. So we're going to package over 10,000 meals, and then those meals will go back into the individual communities that our clubs are based in. So for Middletown, we'll give our food to Amazing Grace Food Pantry. So it's a great way to meet Kiwanians that are from all over Connecticut, but we're impacting our own individual communities. So that's a great thing that the foundation does. We were also worked with the Kiwanis Pediatric Trauma Institute in Boston. Back in 1981 it was founded, and it was a leading edge hospital in terms of trauma for youth. And so a lot of what is known today is credited back to that hospital.
Yep.
So it's great.
Well, if the endowment is up to $8 million, when I had my tenure at the helm there, we were around 3.
Okay.
So there's been
It's
some
a good
growth.
thing.
That's a good thing.
So the markets have been good and generous too. Yeah. Yep.
So that's terrific. That's good news. I was not aware of that we had
Yes.
done that well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my good friend Dave Peterson, who's up in Rentham, and he's served 3 years at the helm of the foundation.
Yes, prior to my husband. Yes. Yeah. So, no, it's one of the key pieces of Kiwanis here in New England, and the International Foundation has done 2 programs that we've worked on and raised funds for locally that then goes globally. IDD, so we partnered with UNICEF. The one was iodine deficiency disorder, so that was eradicated back in the 2000s. And then most recently we did maternal and neonatal tetanus. For $1.80, we were able to prevent children being born from having tetanus and passing away.
And in both instances, Kiwanis' primary function was raising funds, and UNICEF administered the program.
Correct. Yes.
Right. For the neonatal tetanus, the goal was $100 million, and they raised $105 million, and then they got to the point that they shut down the program this past November because they had eradicated the problem in 27 countries where it was really a problem.
Yeah, and in both these issues, at the global level, I think here in the States, it's not prevalent. These are more third world issues.
They are, yeah.
Where sometimes it takes a little bit of educating our own to why should we do this? Because it's not impacting us directly, but it's impacting youth and people in other parts of the world, and we are a global organization.
Yeah. And I think, and one of the things I love about Kiwanis is that each club, while we have these global initiatives that we work on collectively, each club individually has their own projects that they do within their community that they're known for within their community. So Middletown in particular, we are known for a program called Warm the Children, where every winter we provide children in need with $90 worth of free new winter clothing that they can utilize. We support over 500 kids every winter with that program. And I know, Russ,
Yes.
I don't know any for New Haven, what their signature program is, but.
Well, we have over the years, we have a big Thanksgiving drive as far as we up until a few years ago, prior to the pandemic, we would assemble 50 Thanksgiving baskets, and then we would give them to those people that were using the one of the community houses in New Haven. Now, since that ended, we now give our funds to the main purveyor of giving food to people in Connecticut.
Yeah, but you've also have Camp Cedar Crest.
Well, that's true. We do have. We are along with along with the New Haven Quota Club, Lions Club, Rotary Club, and we sponsor. We are co-owners of Camp Cedar Crest under the auspices under the Inter-Service Clubs Committee of New Haven, which is a 501c3 entity, and it's a 44-acre camp located in Orange, Connecticut, and you wouldn't even know that you were less than a quarter of a mile from Route 34 and its location. But the main purpose of it is to we provide a venue for all sorts of groups, especially under those who serve the underprivileged, to have their programs at the camp. And we also have a number of other church groups and other 501c3 entities that use the camp. And we're celebrating our 100th year this year.
Wow.
That's pretty stable.
Stable so far.
Well, that's terrific. And you know, in this past fall, Russ and I, we tried with modest success to have a larger group gathering of Kiwanis clubs at the Yale-Harvard game down at the Yale Bowl. But
Okay.
Our turnout was not quite as what we expected, but we gave it the old college try.
It was a good time, just the same.
So,
It was probably the largest crowd in years.
oh, down at the Bowl, yeah, they had about 50,000.
Yes, they did. That was totally unexpected. And so, even though we lost it, we more or less got fragmented. But some of the New London Kiwanians and New Haven Kiwanians did get together, and although
We had a good time.
the tailgate was wonderful,
Yeah, well,
as it should be.
now, from your perspective, as you're moving into governor, that'll commence in October 1st of this
Correct.
year.
Yeah.
And by the way, they sent you out to Indianapolis for training yet,
So this.
or assuming they still do.
It was a little different this year, so we've been doing Zoom, and then when we all get together for International Convention in Denver this July, we'll meet the day before. All the governor-elects will come together to meet and do a full day of training prior to International Convention. So yes, they used to do in Indy in October. All the governor-elects from all over the world would come in for their training. So it's been virtual, but we will have the international piece. Or we will have the gathering piece at International Convention. But
That level of interaction is important.
it is, it's very important. And we've also been meeting separately just on the side to kind of get to know each other. And because while each district is different geographically, we do share a lot of the same problems. And so it's, talking with them and kind of brainstorming ideas of what I'm thinking about for the New England, but also what people are thinking about in the capital or New Jersey or Pennsylvania or the Rocky Mountains. You know, it's a lot of similar issues that they're having. Something that Kiwanis is experiencing, as well as many other service organizations, is a drop in membership, especially since the pandemic. Key Club, which is the high school level, has actually increased, which is great. They've surpassed where they were pre-pandemic.
Everywhere or just in New England?
I
New
know
England's
just in
always been very strong.
New England, especially. I know New England has surpassed that. I don't know if.
If I recall the total, I think there's a little under 3,000 Kiwanians in this district, but there are over 6,000 Key Club members in this district.
Yes.
They've got their,
And
they
so
don't
that's
call it a
amazing.
convention anymore, but they've got their group meeting
Actually, so
this
they.
weekend
Yeah, they do. So
in Springfield.
I will be up there in Springfield. When I was in Key Club, it was in Springfield. So it's
Wow.
yeah, it's continued.
Deja
Well, they
vu.
fill up 2 hotels, I mean, right off the highway there.
Yes. Yep. So yeah.
Yeah, high energy if you like to spend a weekend with 1,000 high school kids.
I always leave energized. That is, it's a truly amazing weekend to see what high school students are doing here in New England within their communities. So
What I was truly pleased about when we had our district convention last August, and there were Key Club members there, the thing that really stood out for me is that since it's a co-ed organization, I really I really liked the fact that the boys and the girls treated each other with respect, and they were dedicated to the programs for which they supported. And so it was really encouraging that they were doing something other than doing a video game or being on their phone.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the New London Club, of which I'm a member of, I mean, we sponsor 4 Key Clubs, and we're very proud of that. And their activities ebb and flow. I mean, as does their membership. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you get a kid who's really jacked up, and they pull in a lot of others, and when that individual graduates, sometimes things pull back a little bit, but on the whole, it's been terrific, and the kids
Yes.
are good.
yeah, they really are. It's an amazing group. And there's also the collegiate level, which is called Circle K. So that is, I think there's 12 clubs currently in New England. So it is a small organization, but they actually do the most service hours per member. So they really are about the service at the college level. So in Connecticut, UConn is currently our only Circle K, but we would love to grow more within Connecticut. And that's another great group that we have.
And I think that the challenge there is that you have a student that more often than not comes out of Key Club
Yes. Yep.
and goes to college and wants to maintain that level of community service.
Yes. Yeah.
And will initiate a Circle K.
Yes.
And who's going to follow that up when that student moves
So,
on?
yes, and
and
that's-
sometimes, you know, the clubs, I mean, we've had clubs in Northeastern, and we've had them at Sacred Heart and Mitchell College and different places, and things come and go.
Yes. So it is really it's really leadership planning at even at the Kiwanis level. It's really that leadership planning and getting leaders in the pipeline. Obviously, when you're an adult, you're more stable and you're staying within a community probably longer than the 4 years you're in college. So it is hard to sometimes, both in high school and in college, have those members that are moving up the ranks and the leadership. So it is key for all of our organizations really to develop that leadership chain and training.
Yeah.
And
Right,
they'll
right,
remember, and
yeah,
then
go ahead.
they'll, I'm sorry, and then they'll remember to join Kiwanis when they're in a position to do so,
Yes.
wherever they may be.
Well, you certainly hope so. That's part of the overall plan.
Yes.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure how successful we are in terms of fostering that, but
I think we're working on it. A number of the leaders within the district are former service leadership program members. So both the district administrator for Key Club and district administrator for Circle K are both former former members of the service leadership programs as well as their team. All of their teams are actually former service leadership members as well. We had a club form in Boston called the Greater Young Professionals Club. So that was actually formed with the majority of people were former Circle K and Key Club members.
Well,
So-
you've almost kind of opened a nice segue for me here.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're energizing and getting younger folks to join Kiwanis. Why? What's in it for a young person to belong to Kiwanis? What are they going to? What benefits do they derive? And you're going to be our leader here. And we've had a few younger folks that have stepped up in leadership at the district level in recent years.
Yeah. So
I mean, like my club, I joined when I was in my mid-30s, and now I just turned 70. So, I've been a member a long time, and but I look around my club, and we don't have too many younger members. It's like, if somebody's 50, that's like, that's the young guy.
yeah.
What can we do to capture that?
So something we've been talking about within the organization is really, we want to preserve what has been in the past, but also looking to the needs of younger members. So that has really been something that we've been discussing and encouraging clubs to look at. So it's looking at, are you meeting during the lunchtime? So back 10 years ago, people could take an hour lunch and sit down and have a meeting and have a meal and talk to each other and get connected. But now we're looking at people that can't step away for an hour. If they get half an hour, they're lucky.
Right, and a lot of the businesses moved out of town.
Yes.
And moved out of the country, for that matter.
So it is looking at, do you have a night meeting? Do you meet at, say, a library where maybe there's no meal, so you're not incurring that cost of $20 or $15 or $20 for that meal. You're also able to bring kids, because if you have younger kids, you want to allow them not have to find childcare to then go to a Kiwanis meeting. So encourage a place where there may be that availability. So really, Kiwanis is about the meetings are great in terms of getting to know your community. Most Kiwanis meetings have a speaker, so it's learning something. Whether it's local, maybe it's not even related to Kiwanis, but you're still learning about your community. So having a speaker come and talk, and that's actually how we get a lot of Kiwanians is when you ask them to come and speak at your meeting, and then you ask them to become a Kiwanian.
Yeah, I agree. I think speakers are critical and irrelevant to the size of your group.
Yeah.
Even if it's you're only getting a half a dozen, 8 people out for whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're honest with the person you're inviting in,
Yep.
your audience is going to be this. You don't promise them 50 and then 5 show up.
Yeah.
Right.
You tell them that they're going to have 8 to 10,
Yep.
so they can prepare appropriately for that audience.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's up to them whether or not they want to come.
Right, and then, for instance, the New Haven Club, our club members range from age 27 to 95, and the younger members, actually, the ones we have been receiving lately, we receive them as a direct benefit from Camp Cedar Crest. A lot of the fraternities at Quinnipiac University and University of New Haven would have service projects at the camp, and so after they graduated, and those that decided to stay in town, they showed an interest to become part of Kiwanis. And as a matter of fact, the current president of the board of directors of Camp Cedar Crest, who is also a Kiwanian, he was brought up. He born and raised in Orange, and he was also cleaned up the camp while he was attending the University of New Haven. So there's something there. They remembered us because of what we do for the camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's looking at service projects that younger members are going to want to partake in that impacts the community. Something, clubs are trying new projects. In Massachusetts, one club started doing, they hand out bags, and I think it's the third Sunday of every month, people put food in the bags and leave it out on their porch, and then the Kiwanis members go around and pick up the food bags and then bring it to the local food pantry. So that's something that is innovative that not a lot of clubs do, but it's a great, you're doing a couple hours worth of service that's really an impact of food insecurity within their community. The Kiwanis Club of Meriden, they recently started producing storyboards. So they've now, I think, have 4 stories that they have on boards that are put out along the parks within Meriden. And so families can go read the children's story as they're walking along the nature trail. And they actually this year,
John Russell,
just started a story contest. So they're encouraging 4th graders to submit stories along with their pictures, and that story is now going to be an official.
John Russell.
Keep going.
It is now going to be an official storyboard. So that's a way that also gets the name out in the community, because as they're walking through famous parks in Meriden, like Hubbard Park or the Linear Trail, people see these boards and they're talking, and they have the Kiwanis logo on them and the website to go and check it out. Meriden also sponsors the Spelling Bee in town. So there's, clubs get their name out there. People may not realize it, that there's been an active program within the community that is Kiwanis based. So
Yeah, that's a challenge I know for my club is people don't know that we're there. I mean,
Right.
it's I sometimes have to remind our own members. We pump out a fair amount of work over the course of a year. And sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle. You've got to take a step back, and we're doing good stuff. Right?
yeah,
And I think every Kiwanis club, I think in Connecticut, it's safe to say they do something to help those who are food insecure. Now, the Milford Club takes it a step further, rather ambitious, is that they actually deal with those who are insecure as far as heating their homes. So they have a program where they actually buy tanks of oil for those families that are that can't afford to put oil in the tank.
Now, do they have an endowment to fund that?
They have a rather ambitious fundraiser at a local country club that they've had for years, and they raise the funds needed to do something like that. I think the last time I heard that there was at least in the town of Milford, there was 900 families that were that's at least the number I remember that had issues as far as keeping their homes warm during the winter.
And they were able to assist all of them?
That I'm not sure. They coordinate with the town of Milford, so. But it's really, when you think about it, just an amazing project.
yeah.
And then there's also other clubs that, not only New Haven, but there's a number of other Kiwanis clubs that are involved in the expansion of the Ronald McDonald House in New Haven. They're having an 11-room expansion. When they built the new facility in 2017, they built it such that they could expand it. So then now they're relocating the offices and adding 11 more rooms for those families that have a child that's being hospitalized for a serious illness.
Yeah. So this is where I warms my heart in that and Kiwanis is what you make of it.
Correct.
And the opportunities are you're only limited by yourself. But by being a lieutenant governor and visiting your clubs and seeing what they're doing and learning what they're doing and the things that are working and perhaps not working and sharing these experiences and meeting people, and it gets exponentially so at the level you're moving into as governor, because you'll be all over the 6 New England states and Bermuda.
Yes.
And it's really amazing to see what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, you go up to Presque Isle, Maine, and I've been up there a few times, not recently, but They used to build houses. They used to call them Cinewac, which is Kiwanis spelled backwards. And there were starter homes, and they'd work with the local school, and the young folks would build them, and they'd finance these things. They'd sell the house and use the proceeds to build the next one. I mean, I don't know anybody else who does that. And Mount Washington Valley, the big on Key Club up there in New Hampshire, and they still are, but Kennett.
Yes, yeah. Their advisor actually just won an international award. So for his work, I think he's been doing it 25 years. So he was just recognized by international for that. And they do in Mount Washington Valley, they do a program called Angels and Elves. So that, I mean, it's in a community-wide effort every Christmas to fulfill the wishes of kids within the community, also providing, because all the students within the Mount Washington Valley school system also do ski lessons. So they provide them with the gear that they need as part of the Angels and Elves program. So it is truly, that is probably one of the signature projects within that is within that area of New Hampshire. So.
So I mean, but you when you see that, and
Yeah.
and that's why I think it's important when you have your district conferences and conventions or the international convention. I encourage members of my own group to at least get to one. Many won't, some do.
Yeah.
But those that go, take advantage, and they'll bring this stuff back.
Yes.
Yes.
Very much so.
You know, and I mean, you can't make folks go, but you can certainly encourage them to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's also important. Whenever I visit the clubs for which I'm responsible, the fact that I always thank them, regardless of their size, is that I thank them for keeping the doors open, because you can't do Kiwanis things if there's no Kiwanis club there, and so the fact is that I know, at least in Connecticut, and actually what I've seen from going to the district functions, that everyone has the same goal, is to increase the membership, and those who are there are fighting the good fight to make sure that the clubs exist.
Yeah. Well, membership is ongoing. It doesn't ever go away. I
Correct.
mean,
No.
there's always people are going to leave the organization for one reason or another. It's not what they expected. There's expense. They move. People, they die. They whatever, but they leave. And you have to continually bring in new people. You can't be static. It's a dynamic environment.
It's very dynamic. Yeah.
Yes.
And you need that level of enthusiasm. And people have got to see why they should be belong. You know, what are they going to get out of it? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that my first international convention I went to was in 1995, and I was in St. Louis, and I was a sitting club president, and I didn't know jack. I mean, we kind of thrown into the position, and I'd never been to St. Louis, so I said, well, let's. Relatively newly married, young kids. It was they didn't go, I did. But I'll tell you, I came back full of piss and vinegar. I mean, just excited. Boy, Kiwanis says all this neat stuff,
Yeah.
and we're not doing any of it. It's time to get on the beam here. Let's get moving.
Yeah.
It got me jacked up.
Yeah.
It did its job.
And Kiwanis also partners with other programs such as landscape structures to help build children's parks. They also have started partnership with Little Free Libraries. So one of, obviously, reading is a very key thing within our organization and encouraging literacy. So there are different partnerships that we do have within the organization to grow, and that's something that you learn at both the international and the district level of what opportunities there are out there. Both at the district level and at the international level, clubs can apply for grants to help with their service projects. If there's an idea that they want to get off the ground within New England, it's $1,000. I'm not quite sure what the level is at international, but you can apply for those grants to continue on and then grow the service projects. We also, within the New England Foundation, organization, encourage clubs. They get $200 to build a library nook and say a laundromat, so that and keep that going. So I know the Kiwanis Club of Southington does that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing, one of the many things that I enjoy about the organization is, I mean, that each individual club has the autonomy
Yes, correct.
to meet its own individual local needs. I mean, the needs
Exactly.
in Middletown or New Haven and New London are not the same, and it's certainly not going to be the same in, let's say, Westport or Greenwich.
Well, no.
I think they still have clubs.
And that's definitely a plus on the district level, and it appears on the international level that they tend to stay out of the way as far as not dictating what programs you have to be involved, and
That's
they
my
really
point.
appreciate the inventiveness of a lot of the clubs on what they do. And then, I mean, for instance, well, in New Haven, it's been a little over 60 years. We'll be I think this will be about the 60th year or so. We're going to be every year we sponsor the annual consumer picnic for Goodwill of Southern New England. Back then, it was Easter Seals Goodwill, and so we provide the venue. It's held at Camp Cedar Crest every year. We cook the food, we pay for the food, and usually get well over 200 of their consumers there to enjoy a nice summer day, and it's always encouraging to see how they react to it, and the fact that they're deeply appreciative of what Kiwanis does for them.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, the opportunities are only held back by ourselves. I mean,
Correct.
but I like your energy, so
I'm ready to hit the ground running. So the year of governor-elect is really a planning year. So it's working on getting my board together, both the chairs as well as the lieutenant governors. So right now we're in the process of doing the elections for lieutenant governors. So Russ has done it for 2 years, and we'll be passing the torch come October 1st. We also will be doing a training in New Hampshire the first weekend in June for the lieutenant governors. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's a time for my board to bond and to really plan out what we want for our year. And we are looking at taking stuff, and I really want to make sure. I'm not a huge fan of being in front of the camera, but here I am. Trying to work on getting our name out there and getting more on social media, and really being visible to the district, and making sure that the clubs and the members know that there is support out there for them with whatever they need. And so I really, that is something, and also just to share ideas and to foster that. And so that's really what I'm hoping to increase over my year as governor, and get out there and talk to people and encourage. The pandemic really impacted interclubbing, which is basically when one club goes and goes to a meeting or goes to a service project with another club, and that's been something. We actually had one a couple of weeks ago that had 6 clubs in it, so that was really great to see. Obviously, the project we're doing in April is also what's considered an interclub, so I'm excited to see that the interclubbing is starting again, and as you said, it's a way to invigorate members, because when you go to another club's meeting, you may see, oh, they have a great idea in terms of happy or sad dollars, or a speaker that maybe there may be a counterpart within their community that they could bring, because it was such an interesting topic at that other club's meeting. So
you'll make friends.
And you make friends, and you make life.
People you actually look forward to seeing.
Yes, you make life.
In the New Haven Club, we on purpose have our golf tournament on a regular meeting day, so that it is actually counts as a meeting in an interclub. So we hope to encourage people to play.
Well, you've got a nice tournament.
Yes, I understand Middletown has a nice golf tournament too.
We do. Yes. So yeah, at Lyman's. But it's also, it's enjoying. One of the clubs had a magic comedy night the other night, and there were actually 5 other clubs that came just to support.
Was that Meriden?
That was in Meriden.
Mhm,
So Meriden used to be known for their Kiwanis Capers, which was a variety show. They had it for over 60 years. So that has just kind of gone by the wayside. So it has been replaced by this magic comedy night. But there were 6 other Kiwanis clubs that we all came. We all know each other, and we sat around and had a nice dinner, and then watched 3 great magicians that are also had a good sense of humor. So and it's supporting Meriden's project. So it was nice.
And Meriden's a big club. At least I mean their membership. I think it still is up hovering in the 100 range.
No,
It's a little over 50, I think.
Yeah.
50? Well, it was
Yeah.
100 years ago.
There's
It's,
2
they're
clubs in
bigger than-
Fairfield County that are in over 70 members, but
Yeah,
No.
yeah. But they are a strong club. They have a great committee system. So they're very well organized. But it's being able to enjoy that. So you're going while one supporting an organization, supporting that club, but also meeting with your friends. And some of those Kiwanis that were there came from Massachusetts. So
Oh, wow.
they're who my husband and I credit as some of our good friends. And we actually will see each other outside of Kiwanis while also supporting each other when at Kiwanis events as well.
right. In Connecticut, there are 22 clubs and 558 members as of yesterday.
Oh,
I just
that's
happened to be
pretty-
doing some
pretty,
reports, and I just threw it into an Excel sheet and figured that out. So
Yeah.
Well, that's. But there's room for growth. I mean, right now, the New London Club is virtually the only club in Eastern Connecticut.
Yes.
Yes.
That's north and south, and from the Connecticut River to the Rhode Island border.
Yes.
And that, I mean, we had a club in Norwich and Groton, and they both folded a number of years ago. And those are communities that could use a Kiwanis club.
Yes. Yeah.
Or a Putnam. I mean, just
So
we were saddened that Waterbury, after many years, they ceased operations 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
and you would think in a hub like Waterbury that you would want to have a venue, an organization for people who live and work in the area to be able to be involved in in a service organization.
So I mean, as a district, we are always constantly trying to build a new club.
John Russell.
We're in the process right now of building a club in Enfield, Connecticut, and then we are also moving into another club in Massachusetts that will support 2 key clubs that don't have an active Kiwanis club. So that will be happening in May. So we're constantly working as a district to bring new clubs into formation,
fold.
into the fold. So that is something we actively on the district level are doing. We encourage lieutenant governors to let us know where they think a Kiwanis club is needed. Obviously, if we could build a Kiwanis club in every community, that would be great. But it does take manpower to do that, and so we are working as hard as we can to do that. So it is something that yes, we are.
To a degree.
Yes.
It's almost easier to build a new club than to rebuild an existing club. I mean, but once a club is built and chartered, it requires significant attention
It does. Yes. You have to
and
continue.
nurturing and time
Yes.
to see that it gets roots.
Yes.
And you just can't build it, you hand them their charter and say, well, good luck.
No. So.
See you later, pal.
So as you guys said that New London was sponsored by New Haven. So all clubs when they are formed always have 2 club members from the sponsoring Kiwanis club that come in and become members of the new club, so that they are there to kind of assist with that club continuing to grow and to build those roots. And also Kiwanis has started programs such as club openers and club coaches. So those are our two positions within the organization that are really working on fostering and growing those new clubs and making sure that those clubs have roots. And something that we are looking at for clubs that do want to grow, that are struggling with their membership, we're taking a lot of the pieces we have for building a new club and molding them into growing an existing club. So the same kind of thing of doing a blitz within the town, meeting with the movers and shakers, so meeting with the chambers of commerce, meeting with the banks, the lawyers, meeting with the schools, meeting with City Hall to kind of talk to them about what they need within their community, but also finding new members, and then doing an organizational night, talking about it, but then also having service projects lined up on the back end to bring those people in and see what actually Kiwanis is all about, which is the service and giving back to the community. So that is something. So our membership team within the district is working both on building new clubs, but also clubs that want that help to strengthen those clubs as well. So George Delisle, who is a former governor and international trustee, he is our membership chair. There's a number of former governors on that committee as well. Myself, although I'm not a former governor, I'm a new governor coming up. But we all work on that committee and trying to support the clubs and grow the clubs. So.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important that, as best as possible, that members understand that the district and international both have resources to assist. They have to. I think at times that for the local members, the district and international are abstract, and
yes.
Who cares? But the resources are there if you utilize them properly.
Right, and my hope is that is what I will be able to bring to the table next year and really get the word out there. International did just release new literature that they're hoping will help people, help existing clubs look at their membership, look at their communities to, in fact, grow the club, to work on growing the clubs and where those resources are. So, so Kiwanis is very actively involved, but you're right. As a regular member, people do not know what the division, district, and international level is, and so we really, my goal is to work on changing that.
And to educate the membership. I mean,
Yeah.
the year I served as governor, I mean, educate and invigorate was my theme.
Okay.
And I mean, I figured an educated member would invigorate them. They understand better what they're being asked to do. Why? Who is the lieutenant governor? I remember when I first joined, the lieutenant governor would come. Who cares? Who's the lieutenant governor? What is a lieutenant governor?
It takes time to overcome with some of these clubs that want to be lone wolves. They pay their dues to international, and then they more or less stay away from the lieutenant governor. They don't participate. It does work. There's a couple of clubs like that where it's effective for them, but it's not necessarily a good formula for the other clubs.
Yeah. And my theme is, together we can. So together we continue to build Kiwanis and to impact our community, but also grow as individuals. And I think Kiwanis clubs really need to look at not only what they're doing within their community, but what they are doing to give back to their members and what the members are getting out of that experience. And so I think that's something that sometimes gets a little lost, and we need to make sure that we are making sure that member's experience is what that person wants.
Well, I want to thank Russ. Russ, as lieutenant governor, has been accessible. He's visited our club. He's done our installations. I mean, as mentioned earlier, he's been involved with our golf tournament for a long time. And that's important.
It is. It's very important.
And I know you'll have demands on your time that you can't even really fully grasp yet.
Yep.
But being relatively close to London, if you have the opportunity to come down and visit, we can schedule something. You come in and make a chat to the group. We'd certainly enjoy having our governor come in to say hello.
No, I hope to. And as I was driving here, I was actually on a caucus call. So it's a constant thing. Last night I was on a call. So it is. I'm trying to be out there as much as possible. Zoom is making it a little easier. Unfortunately, I am not going to be able to be everywhere. But I do want to be as many places as I can to talk with members and work together. So.
Yeah, I mean, having a face behind the leadership, I think, makes a difference. It's
Yes.
not, again, it's no longer an abstract. And things evolve and change. I mean, we've gone from having a quarterly newspaper, something you'd hold the Kiwanian,
Yep.
to basically it's all online now.
Yeah. And it's celebrating its 50th year, and this year. So it's been around for 50 years, and we are looking to kind of change it a little for next year, so that it is a monthly publication. So it'll be a little shorter, so you can read it quickly, but also get the information out there so that it's not something that. So when I'm writing an article today, it's not going to be published in 3 months. So we're trying to work on ways to increase the communication within the district. So the Kiwanian has been great. It's been amazing. But I think it's something that as times are changing, we need to start looking at ways to continue to move the communication.
Yeah. And recognizing too that we have some, not many now. I mean, I think as time has evolved, but there's been, we've got some older members that are not tech savvy. I mean,
that is very true. We actually
to the point of not even using email. I mean, just
Right.
We actually still have one club that does submit paper monthly reports still, but everyone else is online. So yes, it is very true that there is that aspect of it. Yes, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know when the last print publication of the Kiwanian,
I don't recall.
Yeah,
It's been a
so
while.
it's been online as long as I can remember.
They must have had quite a supply of those NCR paper forms.
I mean, one thing I'd like to just mention before because we're getting close. Believe it or not, I mean, our time is almost expired
Yeah.
here. But are you planning on having a fall conference?
So we are not. So that has. There's only, I think we were one of 2 districts in the Northeast or not in the Northeast, within the U.S. that did them. So we are kind of shying away from it. One is just a time constraint. One is also, we want to be conscious of people's time, and we also want to be conscious of people's pocketbooks. And so, to go to a conference, it does cost money because there's hotel, food, all of that. So we are trying to narrow it down to just the midwinter and the district convention in August. So, and obviously there is the international. I know trust me, I am sad to see it go. I loved the fall conference as well. And we're going to try it. We're trying it for a couple of years without it. If we find that it isn't increasing the attendance at midwinter and at district convention, then we will probably bring it back because many Kiwani.
Do you have a substitute plan to reach your members and clubs in the absence of the conference?
So that is part of the role of Lieutenant Governor, and that's part of my role as governor is to get out there and to be that interaction. So.
In lieu of having the November conference, it was a lot more palatable to go to the clubs during their holiday gatherings, and they appreciated the attendance.
Okay. Well, I'm getting a little note up there over your shoulder, Russ. It's time to wrap it up here. So we're going to have to do that. But okay. I want to thank both of you for carving out some time to come in here to My Rock Avenue, Waterford.
Yeah.
And Governor,
thank you.
Thank you so much. Lieutenant Governor Russ, always a pleasure. Folks, you've been watching City Focus, and we'll be back again next week. And I'm not sure what we'll be talking about, but today was terrific, talking about a wonderful organization that we all believe in. So we'll see you next week, and good night.